Senior captain, not a guy your offense wants to play against. Hunter, what is up? Thanks for joining me today.
Oh, no problem. How's it going?
It's good. I'm so happy to talk to you. How is your morning going?
Morning's been good so far. Got up, had class, and here we are. So nothing too crazy yet.
Good. What class did you have?
I had a general business class about like communications. I think like communications in business.
Okay. I
So
was a communication major, so
it's
respect.
I don't love it, to be
Yeah.
honest.
It'll be worth it. I can't do any business or I can't do any math, so that's why I went with the communication major. So that's good. Well, Hunter, I know you're in season, you got a lot going on, you got practice today, so we'll get right to it, but I'm going to ask you a question that I ask everyone who comes on this podcast. What are you all about right now? It could be a book, music, a certain artist, a TV show, a life hack, an activity. What are you all about right now?
Shoot. I mean, well, obviously in this season,
Yeah.
so it's all about football for the most part. But outside of that, I started watching Game of Thrones. Um, Kind of fell out of it a little bit last summer. But now I'm trying to get back into it and pick up where I left off. So I guess that's where I'm at right now.
Nice. I was in Croatia over the summer and we were in Dubrovnik, which is like where they shot Game of Thrones. And I've never seen it, but some of my roommates had seen it and they went on like the Game of Thrones tour, like all throughout the city.
No, it's a must watch.
Yeah, okay. Well, maybe I'll have to put it on the list. Well, you were in the EA trailer for the NCAA football, and my brother, he plays football at UCLA. He's a freshman, and I remember how excited he was just to be in the video game, right? Just like on the rosters, and he was freaking
Hmm.
out. He even called me, and he's not calling me about that stuff usually. And so for you to be in the trailer, like, I just thought that must have been so cool. So what was that like seeing yourself in that video game?
Yeah, it was super cool just because like when I was growing up, like that was the big game for us. Um, so they stopped making them in 2014 or 2013. I don't know what exact year they stopped making it. But like that was the game I played all growing up, and that was kind of my childhood. So for them to obviously make a new version of it and to be a part of that is pretty cool, just because of kind of the connection I have from it growing up.
Yeah, that's awesome. I know I have some friends that were playing with Boston College and they're like, "Oh, I just had BC win the national championship today." I was like, "You know what? I liked hearing that. I just enjoyed hearing that."
Yeah,
So,
it's awesome.
that's funny. Well, Wisconsin football, do you have a favorite memory just from this season so far that's off the field? In these, first couple months that you've been with this specific 2024-2025 team?
So I think my favorite memory so far this season, when we were in camp, and the video has gotten around pretty big. But the night that we did freshman karaoke, when we were at camp in Platteville, some of the boys killed it. Derek Jensen killed it. Cub killed it. So it was that's one of my favorite days of camp when we do that, because you get to watch the freshmen kind of step out of their skin, and then it's also just fun just to hear guys either butcher songs or actually do decent. So
Okay, so what did you do your freshman year? What song did you sing?
my freshman year, I did "Don't Stop the Music" by Rihanna.
Whoa, that is
Yeah.
a bold choice. Why? Like, why? What was the thought behind that one?
I really don't know why I chose it. I don't know. I like the song. I think it's kind of fun. Obviously, my vocals aren't aren't quite up to standard to fit the song, but I gave it a good performance.
Yeah, that's so I love that stuff. I was with the Seattle Seahawks over the summer and they had that and they did it while they were on their joint practice in Tennessee and they did it with all the rookies and I wasn't at the dinner, but you could see all the videos on Twitter and it was absolutely hilarious. Because some
Yeah.
people you don't know what they're gonna pull out and sing. Like, I would never choose you to pick a Rihanna song, so
Right,
that's
right.
hilarious. That's good. Well, I've never been to Wisconsin, actually. Never been to a Wisconsin football game. So, what's something that people should know about Wisconsin football that maybe they don't know if you don't go to school there?
I mean, it's obviously a good time. I think everyone knows about the jump around, which is kind of the big tradition during the games here. So that is, when you get to see that in person, it's a lot different than just seeing videos and hearing about it, and being able to see that every Saturday, every home game, uh, is absolutely awesome. But the other good one that is less known is the "Build Me Up Buttercup" song. Uh,
I love that song.
yeah, that one gets played. I want to say third quarter ish, um, like before a kickoff, and so then as the kickoff happens, the music cuts out and the whole stadium's singing it. So that one's also pretty electric.
That is so. Have you been on the sideline and like look around at your teammates like, dude, why are you singing that with them? Has that ever happened?
I'm usually the one singing, to
You're
be honest.
usually the one
Yeah,
singing.
I'm
Okay.
usually the one singing, so people are probably looking at me kind of wondering the same thing.
Yeah. No, that's good. Listen, like that kind of gets you going. It can get your adrenaline going when you're doing it with the student body. We had a game the other day, Boston College beat Michigan State and the students stormed the field and I graduated, but like I was like, whatever, I'm doing it. I'm storming the field still. And like
Right? Why not?
after the game, some of the players were saying, man, like those students really helped us like to feed off that energy. So I bet it's the same when you guys hear that song.
Definitely, definitely. All that and jump around, help kind of get the juices in the stadium going a little bit.
Yeah, that's so fun. Well, speaking of the stadium, Camp Randall, right? I heard you say that, this was a dream to be able to play there one day. What has that been like in your senior season, kind of just looking back and reflecting like, dang, when I was younger, I used to dream of being able to play in this stadium.
It's been awesome. It's been a lot of fun. A lot of really good memories. Also some not so great memories. But I mean that's what makes the journey so fun. And I was very blessed to be able to play in Camp Randall in high school. And so then to be able to come up here for school and play ball here, you know, it's hard to put into words really what it means and how thankful I am for it. But I do love it here. I love playing in the camp. I love all the guys that are on the team. So yeah, it's a huge blessing.
You mentioned high school, and I heard a rumor that you didn't lose a game in high school. Is that true? You went like 37-0?
Yeah, yeah. My sophomore through senior year, we were 37-0.
That is insane. Like, what do you attribute that to? Number one, probably you were really good, so that probably helps.
Yeah, yeah. We had some really talented classes. Obviously, good coaching helps as well. Um, but yeah, no, we had a lot of talent, and we didn't have like a bunch of like Division 1 recruits, like a bunch of 5-star athletes and stuff, but it was just a bunch of guys that just love the game. And we've been, my class had been playing together basically since first grade, for the
What?
most part. Yeah. So a lot of us started playing somewhere in first through fourth grade tackle football. So we played the whole way up together. And obviously I think it paid off a little bit.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, at that point, you just become like telepathic. You don't even need
To
to
an
talk to
extent,
each
yeah.
other.
To
Yeah,
an extent.
that's so awesome. Well, coming from high school, right, where you don't really lose at all and you have a lot of success, and then coming into college, there's so many harder things. You're away from home, even if you're, 20 minutes away. You probably have coaching struggles or changes, injuries come up. You have trying to balance a social life in school and Division 1 football, right? How did you like, or I should say, was there like a more of a specific memory looking back on these last almost 4 years when you're like, man, it got really hard at that point in my career and I had to really rely on my faith and really rely on God? Was there a specific moment, or even just like a season of your life where you're like, dang, that's when I really had to start trusting God to a different level?
I think, when I got here, it was tough just because I didn't know anyone. And you really don't know your first time you're living on your own. You're away from home, you're away from your parents. So obviously that's tough, but I think the hardest part was my sophomore year when I got hurt. Um, I broke my fibula the first week. Um, Sophomore year, I was a starter going into the first game. In the first game, I broke my fibula, so then it was like, now what? Like I was so excited for the season, I was like, this is I have a chance to go out and prove myself, and got cut short. Um, so that was definitely tough, and I think my relationship with God grew a ton just in that time because obviously I was still involved with the team and still going to all the meetings and stuff, but my mind wasn't so wrapped around playing on Saturday. Um, it was more about how can I be a better teammate, and I turned to God for a lot of that, because I think you see it a lot where people kind of go through some things and they realize how much God is there for them and how much He can help. Um, so I think just when all that happened, I knew I had to fall back on the Lord and lean in my faith and just trust the plan that He had in store for me at that time.
I love that you said you needed to like be how could you be the best teammate, and that was kind of your mindset. And it I definitely experienced that just in my own life, and it's crazy how like when you just start pouring into other people, you feel that sense of joy and you can feel that peace and you like really just purpose, right? Like, okay, I may not be able to help my team X's and O's wise on the field, but how can I help my team off the field? And there were some days when I would come to practice and I was playing, and there would be girls who maybe weren't playing, and just their presence and them making me laugh like chilled me out, and then I was like less stressed for the rep that I went in. And then vice versa, when I wasn't playing and I was on the sideline, I would remember back to those girls that just like changed my mood and like got me to relax and were a good teammate and like encouraging me. And I was like, man, I might be upset that I'm not on the field right now, but I remember how someone helped me who wasn't on the field. I need to go be that teammate for someone else. So I love that you said that because it's so important.
Yeah, no, it's extremely important. And the things you just said, I agree with 100% because it means a lot. I wouldn't say a lot more, but it definitely has a different feel to it when someone that's not playing and can't contribute directly on the field, brings some positivity and just helps you calm down a little bit.
Definitely. And it can get heated. So those those people are important. Those tidbits
Hmm.
are important. That's good. Well, as a captain and as a believer, more specifically, how do you lead in the locker room, right? Like there can be a lot of times when you're probably like, all right, I got to be aggressive and I got to like hold my guys accountable, but then also and like probably yell at people, but then also probably be like, "Hey man, like I love you. Like I'm here for you," and kind of be more of that like sweeter soul. So, how do you lead in the locker room, being that senior captain, being that believer, and really just showing Jesus to your teammates while at the same time having this like we're not going to be denied. We're not going to lose like aggressive um, kind of more of like a general attitude.
Yeah, so I've always kind of since high school even have looked at my leadership style in term just more of like a lead by action, in the way I go about things. And as I've gotten older and as I've grown, I've kind of had to understand that I have to be a little bit more vocal. Sometimes maybe more than I necessarily want to be. But there is a balance that you have to find in terms of being a tough leader and getting on guys. Um, but then also at the end of the day, like bringing them back and saying like, look, like I do love you. Like we're in this. Like we're not going anywhere. We're not turning on each other. Like this is our boys. This is our team. And we need to do whatever we can to get things straight and keep pushing forward. Um, but no, it is tough. Um, and in terms of trying to lead with faith, I do struggle with it a little bit because you get into sports and you get so competitive, and you sometimes say some things that aren't necessarily supposed to be said. Um,
You're on the battlefield. Give yourself some grace, you
well,
know?
right, exactly. Um, but just trying to push the word out a little bit and remind guys that God is there, and talking to the guys that when they get injured, just like I'll be praying for you, and inviting guys. We have a Bible study on Tuesday nights, so trying to invite guys to that, and just not even you know commit fully to it, but just kind of dip their toes in and just see what the Lord is all about and how he can help us in our lives.
Yeah, that's so important. You said that Bible study. Is that just with football guys or is that with other athletes across Wisconsin?
It is all Wisconsin athletes are invited.
That's awesome. And just I was involved in a similar thing at Boston College when I went there. What impact and like why do you feel like it's important to go to that group? Because it can be really intimidating. Like you said, you don't have to, jump right in and, get baptized the first day you go, but like just come dip your toe in. Like, what encouragement would you give someone who's like, you know what, I might want to try this, or hey, my friend won't stop begging me to come to this. Like, I'm so annoyed. Like, what have you seen that kind of community and that group do for you? Maybe just even like on the football field. Like, how has that impacted your life at college?
I think, and this is something that I've learned even in the last year, I think having other faith believers around you and just being able to lean on them, when things are going good or bad, um, is very important because we're not meant to make this walk of faith alone. And God, really, this faith was intended for us to go about it with other people. And obviously, like Jesus had his 12 disciples. Like he wasn't by himself either. And so having people that you can lean on and talk to when you're struggling with things, and just to remind you and hold you accountable to get in the Word every day. Just talk to God as the day goes on. I think is super important. So, one of the things that going to this Bible study has done for me is it kind of has given me the ability to be more vocal about my faith, and to not be so afraid to share it, but also give me people that I can talk to even outside of the football team, people that I have met through that study and have built that relationship with. And obviously we have for sure two commonalities, one being both athletes, and the other being that we love the Lord. So I think just surrounding yourself and building a faith community around you, is really probably the biggest takeaway that I've gotten from it.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I feel like sometimes too, like like you already said, you've already gone to class today, then you got practice. You'll probably have meetings after that for hours, right? Like I don't even know how late you're probably in the facility, but you're just taking in a lot, right? And your brain is being expended. And for some like just as like a break in your week, like that's kind of sometimes what it is like let me get out of the classroom, let me take off my cleats, let me kind of turn off my, school brain and social brain and just like hear the word and let somebody speak over me. And I bet you've probably led a few times. You've probably led a discussion group. You've probably been that vocal leader. But I also bet that sometimes you've just come to the group and gotten filled up. And what that does is it probably allows you, at least this was my experience, to get filled up. And then I have like the energy, number one, and like the resources from what I've learned to pour into my teammates and to pour into my friends and to, not be short with my mom on the phone and to be graceful when I'm talking to people. And I don't know, that just the experience that I saw is like, this just is a place to get filled up when you can be with a community and be with believers. And yeah, and especially to do it with teammates. So, how has that been just having other people who you can lean on in your locker room?
It's been awesome. It really has been. Just to like, come back from mass on a Sunday and be like, hey, like what was, how did your sermon go today? Like, what was the homily about? And um, just being able to reflect on what we heard at mass that day, or what the verse of the day that we saw, or the scripture that we read. It's just more ways to talk about the Lord. Um, and the thing that I've also learned on that is that just because it's you and someone else talking, there's other people that might hear that.
Mhm.
And you
You're
have
like,
no
I'm gonna talk really loud.
right. Well, exactly. You never know what, you know, who's gonna hear it and what impact that might have. But just like on the field type things, like, when a couple of us went out to a camp this summer, um, we learned about having a focal point. And so it's just something, visually that we can look at that reminds us of, that to put our trust in the Lord, and that He's here for us, even when we don't feel Him. So like even during games and during practice, like some of the guys have like looked at me and just said like, remember your focal point. Um,
Wow.
and you know, play for, an audience of one, that obviously being the Lord. So just little reminders like that is super uplifting, and it kind of brings me back to peace, and back to my center and back to my roots, as opposed to, getting wound up in what may be going on during the game or during the practice that, has my mind in a million different directions.
That's so cool that you have teammates who are able to direct you to that focal point in game. Like, if I'm the other team, I'm like, shoot, I know who's on their side. Like, we're screwed, you know?
Right.
Like, think about you just said peace, right? Like, that gives you a sense of peace, but it also probably gives you a sense of power. You're like,
Mhm.
man, if I got that guy and like he's on my side, whether we win or lose, right? Like, that's we're not saying like you're gonna call on God and he's gonna be like, boom, you're gonna intercept the ball right this next play because you just said I'm playing for an audience of one. That's not how it works.
No,
Like, if
no.
that's how it worked, I'd have it tattooed all over my body,
Right.
right? Like that's not how it works, but it's that power and that peace that comes with okay, no matter what goes down on this next play, it could be, 4th and 1, game's on the line, right? It doesn't matter. I just calling on God to say, "Hey, I need you in this moment with me." So that's so cool. But you mentioned the ultimate training camp, I believe. Is that
Hmm.
what you're talking about? And how
Yep.
many teammates were there with you?
It was me and three of the other guys.
That's awesome. And I think I saw a photo from it and you had like Jesus saves up your arm. What activity was that?
So that was the second to last night, of the trip. And so they call it the special. And so basically it was like 20 hours pretty much nonstop of physical activity, and just basically beating your body down. So we started at like 5:30. I think it was on a Wednesday night, and we were put into teams, and it was people that you didn't know. I mean, you met people throughout the trip, but you weren't with, like, I wasn't with any of the guys from our football team that we went out there with. So you were put on a group of people that basically you don't know. And the whole idea of the special is to break you down to the point where you can't rely on anyone else's strength or your own strength, but you really solely can rely on the Lord. Um, So yeah, we started at like five or so on a Wednesday night, and went nonstop until I think I got to bed at like 2 o'clock or so that night. And had to be up again at 4 o'clock 2 hours later, or 5 o'clock 2 hours,
Oh my
3 hours
gosh.
later, whatever it was, to then get right back after it, and continue to do more stuff. Um, so that was probably one of the more wilder experiences that I've
That
gone
is
through in my life,
wild.
for sure. But yeah, no, we were just writing, little things on our arms, on our shirts, wherever, that just kind of reminded us of who God is, and the truths that He says about us.
That is when you said wild, I was like, that's exactly the word that I would describe. 20 hours of
Hmm.
physical, just wow. And that it's I want to talk about that specifically 20 hours because here you are, you probably get, I don't even know, 14 days out of the whole year if you guys are winning to not be at football, not be at camp, not at practice. And I know this just from family members who I had that would be at college and, all right, see ya, you get July 4th off and that's it, right? And so you have very little free time. You have very little free time to just rest your body, right? And
Hmm.
here you are prioritizing, this was probably in the summer, and you're prioritizing that small window that you have to go to this ultimate training camp to prioritize your faith and to say, okay, God, I'm going to go with some teammates. We're going to get deeper on our relationship with you. We're going to get deeper in our relationship with each other so that we have a better chance of winning, right? And that we have a deeper friendship. And then we're going to physically put our bodies to the test when, man, I got the run test coming up, like
Yeah.
that's probably, you're probably like, man, like this was supposed to be my chill, like chill
Hmm.
summer camp. And so, like, why did you decide to do that? Because you don't have a lot of time off and you probably are physically tired.
Yeah, so the group that puts this on is Athletes in Action. And they are the group that run our Bible studies, on Tuesday nights. And so, I don't know the exact term for him, but basically like the leader of our group on campus. Um, has been kind of urging us to go. And I know he wanted us to go last year, and kind of just like pushed it away. Like didn't really want to, take a week of my time and go through all that stuff. But then this past year, me and a couple of the other guys were talking like this. We heard some testimonies from people that had gone in the past. We're like this, this looks like a good idea. It looks fun, and it looks like a great opportunity to grow in our faith. So the four of us decided that we're gonna pack up and head out to Colorado for a week. And even on like the way out there, like honestly, I was like sitting in the car. I was like I don't know why I'm doing this.
Yeah,
I
you're
don't.
like, oh
I
no,
was
take
like,
me
I don't know
back.
like what brought me to do this. Like I kind of want to go home. Like I don't know if I truly do want to be here. Um, but the Lord works in mysterious ways, and for us to be able to have that week out of the entire year that we were actually available and able to go out there was a huge blessing in and of itself. And so to actually take the step and just do it, I'm extremely happy that we did that.
Yeah, and I like you said that focal point. Like now you have something tangible that you guys can do in game. And it's like fun, right? Like college athletics is really hard, and so for you to
Hmm.
be able to go do something kind of fun with your summer and probably meet other athletes. Was there
Yep.
anyone or, a group of people from a different school who you now are like, "Dang, I didn't even know those people. They were random strangers and then we had to do this 20-hour, you know, activity and now we feel like bonded for life." Did you make any relationships like that weren't from Wisconsin?
Yeah, I mean the thing that one of the things that was super cool about the week was that everyone's athletes and everyone understands what you go through on a daily basis. Um, and so you don't really like talk about, hey, like, do you play? Like, what are your stats? Like, no one asks that. They just ask where you're from, and what basically what your faith journey has been like. And so everyone's so open and welcome to talk and just like pour out their story without even knowing you, which I found mind blowing. And I found myself doing it just as much as everyone else did. Um, so like you would just meet people every meal. You'd sit by someone and you just talk and get to know them, and then you had your team for the special. And so I met people from all over the place, and we had a little small group of four guys, including myself, and then we had a group leader. And so we have a group chat, and we still text each other to this day, just like, can you guys pray for me with this, or you know I had something really good happen today, and just like telling each other. So it's awesome to get to know all these people and have those relationships across the country, and would not have had those had I not gone on this trip.
Mhm. And what's crazy, cool to think about is that those people are all going to come back up in your life. Like, you know that you're going to cross paths with them again, or maybe someone who you're not in a group chat with, be like, dude, you went to Ultimate Training Camp? Wait, I was there. Like, it's going to happen. And I think that's so cool. And God is going to honor you prioritizing that and taking that leap of faith, right? You said that you were on the way. You're like, shoot, man, I don't want to do this. I want to go home. Like, you were probably
Mhm.
the guy that got the guys to go, like,
Yeah.
right? So it is, and some of that is like the devil trying to be like, hey, like you don't gotta go. Don't worry about it. You would want to be at home chilling, right? Like some of that is definitely not from God. And so like props to you for sticking it out and getting to have that experience. So I love that you had a good time.
Yeah, it was definitely a lot of fun. Hard, but a lot of fun.
Good. Well, not only is the Ultimate Training Camp an example, but you also engage in a lot of service just at Wisconsin and kind of taking a leadership role for that. What is the importance, do you feel like, serving your community off the field? I think a lot of people as athletes can get into this like daily rhythm. You're like, okay, wake up, go to class, go to practice, watch TV, go to bed. Wake up, go to practice, watch TV, go to bed. But I know that like when you kind of what we talked about earlier, when you pour into your teammates, that fills you up and that gives you a different sense of purpose other than, hey, I just had a bad practice. Well, it doesn't matter. Like you're not just an athlete, like you're a friend. And just with a platform, like football players and college athletes in general have a huge platform. So, what would you say the importance of getting out, serving in your community, specifically wherever you go to school is, especially when you do have that platform as a college athlete?
I think that's the key. The key to it all is the platform that we have, and whether we like it or not, um, there's people always looking at us and you know kind of have a decent view of what it is that we go through and who we are. Um, so being able to use that platform that we've been blessed with just to go out and serve in the community. We've gone to Boys and Girls Club in Madison. We've gone to the hospital and have met with these kids and have played with these kids, and um, we've even gone, to other places. I mean, I went to a nursing home last year and got to hang out with, people that are struggling and, running out of days. And, even those situations, it's like I don't like it's a time commitment. It's something that, you almost feel obligated to do, but afterwards you are filled up because of the people that you were with and because of the impact that you saw that you had in their life. um and so that's what I think is so important is being able to have these opportunities is you don't know the impact that it has on these people and how much they look at these big college athletes as almost superstars in a way. Um and so to be able to just give back and give a little bit of our time and just go hang out and have an impact in someone's life, I think is super important.
Well, you've also done your own service in a sense, Hunter's Huddle for Hope. What is this? Can you tell me about this?
So my parents and I, we knew that we wanted to do something to give back to the community. Um, I the community that I grew up in Muskego was extremely loving, like very giving, did a lot for myself and for my teammates to get to where we are today. And so we knew we wanted to do something in the community to give back, but we didn't know exactly what. So we kind of started thinking, and I give my mom especially a lot of credit because she kind of took this upon herself to really make it happen. Um, but so then we ended up, we decided to have a charity event, right in back home. So we just had an event. People could come get some food, bet on some raffle items and um, bet on signed jersey and all that kind of stuff. And I was able to bring a couple of the guys back with me, and we had a sit down like roundtable discussion. And so it was just a couple hours where people could come and hang out and get to meet some of my teammates, have some good food, and just enjoy the day. Um, so and all the money, 100% of the proceeds that we made, are getting donated to charity. And so it was just a great cause, just to get the community and the people that I grew up with and that helped me get to where I am. Have them have an event they could come enjoy, but also everything that was every dollar that was spent at that event is going to a good cause.
That's awesome. I absolutely love that. And what encouragement would you give someone, maybe a college athlete who wants to use their platform to either number one, just be bold about their faith and talk about Jesus and what he's doing in their life, but they're like, "Ah, I don't know, like I don't want to seem weird, or even just like, hey, I really want to I want to do a charity event and I want to serve the community. Like, what advice and encouragement would you give someone who's feeling like a little timid to do that and to just take that jump?
I think just you just got to do it. I think you can put it off for so long, but I think it's always going to come back onto your heart. Like Jesus is going to put it on your heart to go and take that next step. Um, and is it going to be uncomfortable? 100%. Like it's always uncomfortable when you do something new for the first time. But you know that you have the ultimate backup. You have the guy that is never going to leave your side. And so just trust in that and just understand that whatever you do and wherever you go and all the situation that you're put in, like just trust in Jesus. Say a prayer beforehand. Please help me. And just take that step. It's gonna make you feel a lot better doing it than not doing it. And I've learned that as I've done these and been able to have these opportunities. So yeah, just take the step, trust in God's plan, and know that whatever it is you're doing, He's gonna be right there.
That's awesome. I love that you said he's the ultimate backup. I'm like, yeah. Like I like that. I can take some confidence in that. I love that. Well, Hunter, I have one more question for you, and it is, do you wear headphones or no headphones pregame?
I wear headphones.
You wear, oh, no hesitation. So what are you listening to?
So my like the music I listen to is kind of changed a little bit as I like throughout college, and even throughout like a game day. Like I'll get up in the morning and we'll have a team meeting, so I'll like have rap on during the team, like before the team meeting and right after, and then um, I get on the bus and I start listening to like more rock music. Um, and then once I get to the stadium and I start stretching and getting taped and doing my whole routine, there's like a mashup on um, SoundCloud, and it's Big Booty Mix,
Yep, the
and
good
there's
one.
20 some of them. And so I
Yeah.
listen to the same one every Saturday when I'm stretching and getting ready to play.
And how long have you been listening to that exact Big Booty mix?
I started doing it first game last season.
That's a lot. That's you probably have it like memorized by now.
Yeah, I definitely know a lot of it, and when the song's gonna change and what songs it's gonna go to. Yeah, I probably have listened to it way too many times, but
No, hey, whatever it takes. I like that. So you go rap, rock, SoundCloud.
hmm
I like it. And then whatever is in the locker room, probably right before you guys run out.
pretty much. That's exactly right.
And then build me up Buttercup, right?
Finish it
Love
off
it.
with that.
That's so good. Well, I would love to come to a Wisconsin game and see that because that's one of my favorite songs. But Hunter, I know you got busy. You're in season. You got a lot to do. So thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me today. I know so many people are going to be Hunter cheerleaders now, even if they're not Wisconsin fans. And so excited for you and cheering you on.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for having me.